Hello, friends! Did I leave that play too long? I feel like maybe I played that too long. That's all right. Welcome! Glad to have you. Thank you for clicking or tapping or clacking or shaking, whatever you did, to find me today. Whatever it was that brought us together today, I'm happy for it. Welcome to a brand new adventure. Everybody else was starting a podcast, thought I. So why not me, thought I. So that's what I am doing. I'm starting a podcast. For better or worse. Don't really know what I'm doing, but since when has that ever stopped me? So welcome, you entrepreneurial, forward-thinking, nay, even the smartest people on earth. Want to know how I know that? Because you're here with me. You must be pretty smart. Happy to have you. Happy to have you join me on this adventure. But it's not just a solo endeavor. This is an adventure we'll take together. And to that end, I would like to hear from you. Let me know how you found me. Let me know your thoughts. Even just reach out to say hi. You can do that at an email that I started for you. Just for you. You're welcome. The email you can reach me at podcast@twicethelutheran.org. Podcast at twicethelutheran.org. You can also find me online. Again, everybody else had a website. Why not me? It's not a very good website. I will be the first to admit that. You know, they don't exactly teach website 101 in the seminary. Or if they did, I skipped that day, I guess. You can find a version of what I will call an attempt at a website at twicethelutheran.org. twicethelutheran.org. If you are willing to help out, make this podcast better, make the website better, reach out to me. Let me know. I will be glad to have your help. It doesn't take a genius to look around the world and come to the conclusion that things are changing. And they are changing fast, and they are changing a little bit, can I just say scarily? You know, I have a feeling that I'm going to make up a lot of words on this podcast, so please try to keep up with me. Things are changing somewhat scarily. That is to say, there are things happening that we haven't seen happen in a lifetime. And you don't have to look across the world even to find it. You can find it even in small-town USA. I was born and raised in small-town USA. I live in small-town USA, and I will tell you that the changes are scarily happening, even in small-town USA. And on the one hand, we can lament it, and we probably should. I know I do. But on the other hand, don't you get just so excited about the possibilities that lay in the future? Don't you get excited to know that the world is undergoing a thorough shake-up and maybe even a wake-up? I know that really gives me the fizz. People are asking questions. Finally, I love questions. People are searching. Finally, I love when people search. If you are among those asking questions, if you are among those searching for truth, for meaning, if you are among those searching for hope and for a new perspective, then I got news for you. You've landed at the right place, because I think that I have what might do that for you. And you might be surprised that in a world of change, in a world with new questions and new seekers, I believe the answers lie, can I just say, in the past? I believe the answers for what we're looking for lie with historic Lutheranism. I'm going to sharpen that up a little bit more. I think the answers lie with confessional Lutheranism. And here's why I think that. Let me make the case for confessional Lutheranism. Have you ever noticed that in our society today, it seems like people are going above and beyond to sort of hide their real viewpoint? To sort of polish a truth that they might not think is so attractive? Have you ever just sort of wished that somebody would just state their position clearly and advocate for it? Then let me tell you about a group of pioneers, maybe even the first in modern history. I always thought that was funny, modern history. Well, you know what I mean. The first group in modern history to state a position clearly and stick to it for, a little over 500 years now. It's the confessional Lutherans. The confessions just say what the Lutherans mean, and it means what the Lutherans say. Now, what are the confessions? Well, we'll get into that. Well, that'll be part of our journey here on Twice the Lutheran as we re-examine the Lutheran confessions. The Lutheran confessions are compiled in a book called the Book of Concord. Go ahead and Google that. You can read some of the history about that, and we'll talk about that throughout this podcast. But the confessions are statements of teaching. I'll say it that way for now. Maybe you can help me sharpen that up a little bit later as we go into our journey. But the confessional Lutherans just kind of say it. They state the truth from the Bible, and the confessions are true to the Scripture, so they're like an explanation. This is what we mean when we say fill in the blank. And it gives you the antithesis. This is what we don't mean. We mean this, but not that. So you can't really get much clearer in a statement of truth than what we typically call thesis and antithesis. Here's what we mean, and here's what we don't mean when we say that. Now, if that ain't being clear with what you mean, I don't know what is. Now, one of the probably most well-known, most well-used works in that Book of Concord, the one that has shaped Lutheran identity for generations. You're going to be surprised if you're a confessional Lutheran. You know which one it is? It is, drum roll please, Luther's Small Catechism. Yeah, that little work, or maybe not so little, huh? Luther's Small Catechism with its exposition. We'll get into what that all means. Luther's Small Catechism has been shaping the Lutheran identity, the Lutheran vocabulary, has been sort of the standard bearer, if you will, for confessional Lutherans to a certain degree. And why is that? That's because in the Lutheran Church, at least in the Wisconsin Synod, that's the synod I'm a pastor in, the Wisconsin Synod, we take all our kids and even our adults through a study course from anywhere from 15 to 32 weeks or more into Luther's Small Catechism. Now, what is a catechism? That's such a fancy word. You know what it means? It just means question and answer. So if you have questions about historic Lutheranism, if you have questions about the Bible, you can find a lot of those questions, the basic teachings of the Bible, in Luther's Small Catechism. Now, if we're going to examine Luther's Small Catechism, I suppose I could just crack it open and sort of give you a dry reading of the catechism. I suppose that I could just fill a podcast with Sunday morning sermons, but I get the feeling that's not what you want. It's not what I want. I suppose we could resort to sound bites about Lutheranism, sound bites about Christianity. But man, don't you get the feeling the world's got enough sound bites to last about 10 lifetimes? I do. I don't think I want sound bites. I don't think you want sound bites either. Here's what I want, and I hope you want the same thing. I want a conversation. But I don't want a conversation that's hurried, that's angry or worried. I just want a conversation about the Scriptures. I want a conversation about the truth. And I want a conversation that shows me how the Scriptures shape my view of the world and even my view of myself. And I think that the lens of Luther's Small Catechism is a great way to do that. And here's why I think that. Because Luther's Small Catechism sort of takes the issues by category. Yeah, it just walks through the categories of Christian faith, works through the Scriptures topically, if you will. And I think that if we dug into the Luther's Small Catechism together, we could ask a whole bunch of really pertinent 21st century questions. And Martin Luther, through the genius question and answer format of the Catechism, can help us come to some pretty satisfying answers. Now, if that sounds like a journey that you want to join me on, please do. Would you go ahead and follow my podcast? That lets me know this is worth my time. I mean, hey, I don't mind talking into a microphone, but I would rather not just be talking to myself. I'd rather there be somebody on the other side listening. And not only listening, but talking back. Asking questions back, giving insights back to me. That's why I set up that website. That's why I set up that email address so you and me can be engaged in conversation over the Word of God. And I want to do that in a safe way. And I don't think there's a safer way to do that and an easier way to do that than in a podcast. Whatever you're doing, you can throw your earbuds in your ears, safe in your own home. Let your mind wander and examine and contemplate, all to the soothing sounds of my voice. And I think that we could come up with just a really satisfying approach to the Scriptures that would help shape our worldview. And that in the midst of all the world's changes, scarily as they might be, that you and I, at least, in our little corner of the world together, we could find some peace. We could find some clarity. We could find some hope as we dig in together to examine the truth. So I don't know where this journey will take us, friends. I really don't. I know that we can dig into the Scriptures. I know that we can do that through a historic confessional Lutheran lens, and you can join me on that journey, and I hope you do. I hope that you not only would subscribe to this podcast and stick with me, because I promise I'll get better. I promise. I hope that you not only subscribe and stick with me, I also hope that you bring somebody else along on this journey. I think that sharing a podcast can be a pretty safe and easy way to reach out to somebody, because I'll tell you what, I promise you, if you're a Christian, you know the lingo I'm speaking, this podcast is going to be just chock full of gospel truth and hope and forgiveness, and it's going to be for you. And I hope that you can find one or two other people to share it with. And I hope you encourage them to ask you questions too, or direct their questions towards me. That's fine. Maybe we'll do some question and answer podcast episodes. I don't know. We are at the verge of something exciting, friends. It'll be good, whatever it is. In fact, it's already been good. It's been 14 minutes of good so far. And I think that's enough to introduce us to each other, or me to you at least. Do me a favor, follow, like, subscribe. If you are so inclined, support. You can do that at twicethelutheran.org. And I'll see you again on the next episode of Twice the Lutheran. See you later, friends.